Hey guys, it's Rex here. When I say NieR is a convoluted series, I don't just mean that the story of the main games is hard to figure out. Yoko Taro has, for some reason, decided to put vital plot points for the series in various unrelated media, including stage plays, drama CDs, novels, and now you've got to play an entire MMO. The story of Dark Apocalypse takes place in a series of raids in Final Fantasy XIV of all places, so while luckily I'm already a fan of both IPs, if you aren't, then this is a rough one to work out on your own. So let's dive into the story of YoRHa Dark Apocalypse. At least, the story so far, as well it seems to be wrapped up. You never know. Yoko Taro could release a 10-volume book series on it tomorrow or something for all I know. The story begins with the player character of Final Fantasy XIV, the Warrior of Light, talking with two dwarf siblings, twins named Annog and Konog. After undertaking a few menial quests for the two of them, the warrior meets an android that strongly resembles 2B, except with inverted colors, named 2P, who's under attack by machines. Once 2P wakes up, you travel with her to the copied factory, which you'll probably notice the naming of this area suggests a relation to the copied city in Automata, which was created by the machines. After making their way through the copied factory, fighting machines along the way, the group is confronted by none other than 9S, who appears to be fighting on the side of the machines. 9S states that he is there to kill 2P, and then 2P fights 9S and defeats him with the help of the warrior. And then in typical 9S fashion, he falls off the side of the building into the fog below. However, the battle appears to have been too draining for 2P, as she collapses shortly after. The warrior, Annog, and Konog take 2P back to safety. 2P then briefly wakes up and explains that she and 9S are androids, after which the warrior heads back to the copied factory to find a way to fix her. In the factory, the warrior finds a functioning pod, as well as 9S, who apparently climbed back up after his fall. The twins and the warrior bring the unconscious 9S back with them, and the pod is able to scan 2P and identify where the damage is. Once again, the warrior returns to the factory to search for the necessary parts to fix 2P, and finds what they need in a room that is disturbingly filled with 2B corpses. After fixing 2P, a squadron of androids and flight units carpet bomb the village, before revealing that they are 2P's allies, and that 2P has been manipulating the warrior and the twins this whole time. 2P attempts to kill Annog, but a familiar face from Automata appears as 2B rushes to the rescue. 2P then flees to a facility that was exposed by the android bombings, called the Puppet's Bunker. 2B explains that she is a YoRHa android, and that she's there to kill 2P, and in typical fashion, leaves to fight by herself. The warrior fights their way underground after her, but arrives right after 2B has landed the finishing blow on 2P. However, a swarm of bodies erupt from 2P and form a monstrous red-eyed version of her, which then the warrior and 2B take down. In the aftermath of the battle, 2B returns to the village and takes 9S with her, saying that this isn't over for her or for the machines. Afterward, Annog seems to have run off, feeling guilty for taking in 2P, who caused so much destruction to her village, and Konog goes looking for her. He ventures back into the puppet's bunker, and deep underground, he comes across it. There, in the middle of the room, stands one of the objects that in our world caused the complete and total extinction of humanity, over 7 billion lives claimed by its influence. There in the room stands one of the seeds of destruction. The warrior arrives and questions Konog about it, but he seems too distraught to answer. Luckily, a convenient vision shows the warrior that in the past it appears Annog was killed, and the seed, true to its alternative name as a seed of resurrection, created a copy of her, meaning the one we've seen so far has not been the original Annog. The seed glows brightly, and an army of 2Ps march out, as Annog, 2B, and 9S come to your aid, Annog apparently having fixed him. Before any fighting occurs, a tower erupts from the ground. The warrior, 2B, and 9S enter the tower, and battle their way through some familiar enemies, like Hansel and Gretel from Replicant. The most notable enemy encountered, though, is the Red Girls from Automata. After fighting through her and some more machines, the group arrives at the top of the tower. There the Red Girls combine with the seed, which ends up creating a brand new entity called the False Idol, and opens a portal to an unknown location. During the fight, the False Idol uses the portal to bring forth something from the other side, which she ends up combining with her. The result is a strange hybrid of the False Idol and Zero that heavily resembles the creature in Drakengard 3's ending E, and her new name is Her Inflorescence. The warrior, along with 2B and 9S, defeat the monster, and 2B and 9S close the portal through their combined hacking efforts. However, this destroys both androids. 2B leaves behind a data log for the warrior, in which she reveals that everything, including their current bodies, the Red Girls, all the other bosses and machines, came from the Seed of Destruction, and its only purpose is to destroy. As long as something of the seed is left behind, it won't stop. So both androids decided to die, so as not to leave anything seed-related in the world. Their final wish is for the warrior to remember the memories that they had together. Now there's a lot to unpack here, and this next part will contain a lot of conjecture, but I'll do so based on the facts that we do have. The Seed of Destruction, traveling through dimensions or multiverses, whatever you want to call it, is not without precedent. In fact, it's really the entire basis for the NieR series, since the Queen Beast that kicked off the events of NieR came from another world, and the multiple timeline convergence phenomenon is heavily documented by Accord in Drakengard 3. As for how the Seed was able to replicate everything that it did, there are two main theories so far. The first is that somehow, the Red Girls came across a Seed of Destruction in the Ark that launched at the end of Automata, and that's how they ended up in the Final Fantasy universe. It's never explained how or when they obtained one. 9S is in the Ark with the girls, but this would mean that for some reason, 2B is aboard as well, and that she's the one that ended up activating the Seed, which resulted in the creation and multiplication of 2P and a series of white-clothed androids. At the same time, the Seed was used to give body and form to 2B, 9S, and later on to Anog. In this scenario, this implies that the Seed swallowed the Ark and everything inside it. However, this doesn't seem to align with the ending of Automata, as seen in the NieR music concert, in which both 2B and 9S are alive and well on Earth, unless somehow their personality data was copied to the Ark, which may well be possible. The second scenario is that the Seed ended up in the Final Fantasy universe on its own, and created copies without ever encountering the Ark, but this has issues as well. As to my knowledge, we've never seen the Seed create a copy without first encountering the original individual, but I could be wrong on this, so please do let me know. Also, this gives us yet more questions on how exactly the Red Girls are connected to the Watchers, but at the very least it basically confirms that they are indeed connected, especially with the appearance of her inflorescence. Inflorescence refers to a group of flowers on a stem, and presumably the her in this refers to Zero, so there's really no question as to the Watcher's influence. Also, the second theory includes the possibility that the aliens themselves in Automata were created by the Seeds in that universe as well, which would explain the aliens' desire to wipe out humanity, which would have some far-reaching consequences to the NieR storyline as a whole. Either of these theories could be partially true, and we may learn more in the future, but one thing is for certain: the Watcher's reach is infinite, interdimensional, and inescapable. Hey all, if you watched until the end, please do consider subscribing and leave a comment or a like. It really does help the channel grow. Also, the support on my NieR lore videos so far has been incredible, by far the best performing on the channel, so thank you all so much for that. And I hope to see you all again in the next video.